Imagine you are waking up every morning with a heart full of peace, a mind that is calm, and a life filled with genuine happiness. You look around, and everything seems brighter. Your relationships, your work, even the challenges you face seem smaller. This is not a dream. This is a possibility that Buddhism teaches us how to achieve. But the question is, how can we truly stay happy in life, especially when there are so many pressures, struggles, and distractions around us? How do we find lasting contentment in a world where everything seems to be changing so rapidly? Now, think about your own life for a moment. Do you feel like happiness is something that comes and goes, or is it a state you can cultivate every day? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stay happy despite their circumstances, while others struggle to find joy? Could there be a simple, powerful answer hidden in the ancient teachings of Buddhism that we can apply to our lives today? Let's take a simple example. Imagine you've had a challenging day, filled with worries and frustrations. But then you pause, take a deep breath, and remember the wisdom of Buddhism. Suddenly, your perspective shifts. You realize that these struggles are temporary, and they don't have to control your happiness. You see that true peace comes from within, not from external circumstances. This shift can change everything. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, the channel where we explore life's deeper questions and find timeless wisdom from Buddhism that can help us lead happier, more fulfilling lives. If you're new here, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel to keep receiving valuable insights. There's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribe. So, please, don't miss out on these transformative lessons. Drop down your thoughts in the comments. We would love to hear from you. In this video, we'll explore how you can tap into the ancient wisdom of Buddhism to unlock lasting happiness. Whether you're facing difficulties or simply looking for more peace in your life, these teachings have something powerful to offer. Let's begin this journey towards happiness, one step at a time. Understanding suffering, the first noble truth in daily life. When we look at our lives, it often feels like we're carrying a burden, doesn't it? It's like there's always something weighing us down: stress, illness, worries about the future, and regrets about the past. Sometimes, it seems as if happiness is a distant dream, hard to reach, slipping further away the harder we try to grab it. But what if I told you that the very act of acknowledging our suffering could be the first step towards true happiness? It might sound strange, but this is exactly what the Buddha teaches us. Buddhism begins with a simple truth: life is suffering. This is called the first noble truth. It's not about being negative, but about being realistic. The Buddha saw that life is filled with suffering, whether it's physical pain, emotional distress, or the suffering that comes from longing for things that we can never truly hold on to. We are all born into a world where change is constant, and with change comes loss. People we love, situations we cherish, and even our own bodies, all of these are impermanent. They fade, they change, they pass. And in that passing, there is suffering. But here's the thing: acknowledging suffering doesn't mean resigning ourselves to it. In fact, understanding suffering is the key to moving beyond it. You see, the problem isn't suffering itself. The problem is how we react to it. We try to avoid it, push it away, or pretend it doesn't exist. We build up walls around ourselves, hoping that if we just don't think about the pain, it will go away. But that's not the way. Think about it. When was the last time you tried to run away from your problems? Maybe you were frustrated at work or stressed about something at home, and you try to distract yourself. You watched TV, went out for a walk, or even worked harder to forget the discomfort. But did the stress really go away? No, it just lingered in the background, waiting for the next moment to pop up again. It's like trying to push a beach ball under the water. No matter how hard you push, it will always pop up again. In Buddhism, this is called the resistance we create to life's natural flow. But there's another way. The Buddha doesn't ask us to run from suffering. He asks us to face it, to acknowledge it, to understand it, and to see where it comes from. He encourages us to be present with our discomfort, without judgment. This is not an easy thing to do. We have spent years, even decades, building habits that try to avoid pain. But what if instead of running, we could sit with the discomfort, breathe through it, and watch it transform? The suffering doesn't go away, but our relationship with it changes. It doesn't define us anymore. We become the observer, not the victim. And here's another layer to this teaching. Suffering isn't just about the big, dramatic moments of life. It's also in the small, everyday frustrations, the traffic jam that makes you late, the phone call you didn't want to take, the dishes piling up in the sink. These little annoyances add up and shape our emotional state. Over time, they can lead us to believe that life is just one struggle after another. But what if we could change our perspective on these moments? What if, instead of seeing them as problems, we saw them as opportunities for growth? In Buddhism, every moment of discomfort is a chance to practice mindfulness, to stay present, and to develop compassion for ourselves and for others. For example, let's say you're stuck in traffic. It's easy to get frustrated, isn't it? Maybe you start thinking, I'm going to be late. This is so annoying. Or why does this always happen to me? But the Buddha teaches us to pause and recognize that our suffering in this moment is caused by our attachment to an outcome. We want to be somewhere, and when life doesn't go according to our plan, we experience frustration. But what if you could simply breathe, acknowledge the frustration, and let go of the need to control the situation? What if, instead of resisting the traffic, you allowed yourself to simply be present in the moment? You could listen to your favorite music, reflect on something positive, or simply enjoy the time to relax. Suddenly, the traffic isn't as much of a burden. It's just a part of your day that you're not trying to control. This is the power of the first noble truth. It doesn't tell us that suffering is avoidable. It doesn't say that we won't face hardship. It says that suffering is part of life, and that's okay. What matters is how we respond to it. Can we learn to accept it, to work with it, and to see it as an opportunity for growth? This is the heart of Buddhist practice, the ability to embrace life as it is, with all its ups and downs, without clinging to or resisting the inevitable. So, what does this mean for us, right here in our daily lives? It means that instead of running away from our struggles, we begin to see them as moments of awareness. Each challenge is an invitation to practice patience, compassion, and mindfulness. And in this practice, we begin to understand something deeply important, that our happiness does not come from avoiding pain, but from learning how to live with it gracefully. We can't control the world around us, but we can control how we relate to it. Over time, this shift in perspective can bring a profound sense of peace. Imagine waking up each day knowing that whatever comes your way, whether it's a challenge at work, a conflict with a friend, or even a personal loss, you have the ability to face it with an open heart and a clear mind. The weight of suffering doesn't have to crush you. Instead, it becomes something you can bear with dignity, because you know it's not the end of the story. It's just a part of the journey. In Buddhist teachings, the key to moving beyond suffering is not to eliminate it completely. It's to stop clinging to the idea that life should always be easy, or that we should always be happy. Happiness, true happiness, comes not from external circumstances, but from the peace we cultivate within ourselves. The first noble truth is not a message of despair, but of hope. It tells us that suffering is part of the human experience, but it's also something we can transcend through awareness, acceptance, and compassion. So, the next time you find yourself struggling, remember the first noble truth. Don't try to avoid the discomfort. Don't fight against it. Instead, take a moment to pause, breathe, and observe. Ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? And know that through this practice, you're slowly transforming your relationship with suffering, turning it into a stepping stone toward true, lasting happiness. The cause of suffering, desire, attachment, and the aging soul. Imagine for a moment that you're sitting by a calm river, the water flowing smoothly around the rocks. Everything seems peaceful, and you feel a sense of tranquility. But as you sit there, your mind begins to wander. You think about the things you don't have, the things you've lost, or the things you still long for. Suddenly, that peaceful river seems distant. You feel restless. The calmness fades, and you're left with a sense of dissatisfaction. This, my friend, is what happens when we let desire and attachment take hold of our hearts. Buddha once said, "Desire is the root of all suffering." This simple statement has been at the core of Buddhist philosophy for thousands of years. It speaks to a truth that many of us overlook in our daily lives. Our unhappiness, our dissatisfaction, often comes from our attachments and the desires we hold deep within us. These desires are not limited to material things like money or possessions. They also include the desire for approval, love, security, or success. But why is this so powerful? Why do our desires cause us so much pain? The first thing we need to understand is that all things in life are impermanent. This is one of the fundamental truths in Buddhism, the idea of impermanence or anicca. Nothing lasts forever. Our bodies age, relationships change, and even our emotions fluctuate. Yet, despite this universal truth, we tend to hold on tightly to things, people, and situations, believing that they should remain the same. When we do this, we begin to form attachments. We tell ourselves that we need these things to be happy, and when they change or disappear, we suffer. Think about the last time you felt hurt or disappointed. It's often because something you desired was taken away from you. Maybe it was a job, a relationship, or even an idea of what life should look like. You felt a sense of loss, a sense of longing for something that no longer was. That feeling, my friend, is the suffering caused by attachment. Attachment is like holding on to a piece of driftwood in a stormy sea. The more you hold on, the harder it is to find peace. Let go, and you'll find calm. It's natural to desire things. In fact, desire itself is not the problem. The problem arises when we let our desires control us, when we believe that our happiness depends on the fulfillment of those desires. If you think about it, every time you're upset or frustrated, it's often because something you wanted didn't happen the way you imagined. You wanted more time with your family, more recognition at work, more peace in your heart. And when those things didn't materialize, you felt disappointed. But the truth is, the very act of holding on to those desires, expecting them to fulfill you, sets you up for suffering. Let's look at another example. Imagine you're walking through a forest, and you see a beautiful flower. You stop and admire its color, its shape, and its fragrance. In that moment, there's no desire. You simply appreciate the flower for what it is. But then, as you continue walking, you begin to think, I wish I could take that flower home with me. It would be so nice to have it on my table, to admire it every day. As soon as you have this thought, you begin to feel something shift inside of you, a sense of yearning. And now, the flower, which was once a simple source of beauty, has become a symbol of something you lack. That desire, that attachment to having the flower, has turned your peaceful enjoyment into a longing. This is the cycle of suffering that Buddha spoke about. It's not the flower itself that causes suffering. It's your attachment to it. And in the same way, it's not the circumstances of your life that bring you pain. It's your attachment to how things should be or how you wish they were. But what if you could learn to live without this attachment? What if, instead of holding on tightly to every desire, you could simply experience life as it comes, without needing to control it, without needing it to be different from what it is? This, my friend, is the path to freedom from suffering. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is not the world itself, but our perception of it. We perceive the world through the lens of desire, wanting things to be different, wanting them to be better, wanting them to last. But when we can learn to see the world as it truly is, impermanent and ever-changing, we can release our need for things to stay the same. And in that release, we find peace. This doesn't mean we have to stop wanting things or stop caring about the people and experiences in our lives. It simply means we need to let go of the belief that our happiness depends on them. We can love our families without expecting them to always behave in a certain way. We can pursue our goals without believing that our success will bring us eternal fulfillment. We can enjoy the beauty of a flower without needing to possess it. Letting go of attachment is not easy, but it is the path to true peace. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you no longer felt the constant pull of desire, if you could simply be content with what you have, with who you are, and with the life that is unfolding around you. Can you imagine the freedom? The peace that comes with accepting the impermanent nature of life? This is the promise of Buddhism. It offers a way out of the cycle of suffering, a way to live with a heart full of love, without being weighed down by attachment and desire. And though it may seem difficult at first, every step you take toward letting go brings you closer to the peace you seek. The more you practice letting go, the more you will begin to see that the things you once clung to, whether they were possessions, expectations, or people, are not what truly bring happiness. True happiness comes from within, from the ability to accept life as it is, without needing it to be any different. When you stop grasping at life, you begin to experience it more fully. You begin to live in the present moment, free from the constant tug of past regrets and future anxieties. So, ask yourself, what are you holding on to? What desires are keeping you tied to a life of dissatisfaction? And how can you begin to let go, even just a little bit, to find a freedom that comes from accepting life as it is? The path to happiness doesn't lie in the things you acquire or the people you impress. It lies in your ability to release your attachments and desires, to see the world as it is, and to live fully in each moment, free from the burden of wanting things to be different. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, and this is the key to unlocking the happiness that is already within you. The end of suffering, the possibility of inner peace. Suffering is a part of life, and in Buddhism, we recognize it as a universal experience. But it's important to remember that suffering doesn't have to define our lives. There's a way to end suffering, a way to live with peace despite the difficulties we face. This is what the Buddha taught, and it is a message that has echoed through centuries, still holding the power to change our lives today. So, let's talk about the end of suffering, not as a distant goal, but as something that is possible in our very own lives right now. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a storm. Thoughts swirl around like gusts of wind. Emotions rise and fall like crashing waves, and there is no clear horizon in sight. In the midst of this storm, it feels impossible to find peace. But what if I told you that the storm could calm? What if I told you that the peace you seek is already there, beneath all the noise? The end of suffering, in a very real sense, is the end of that storm. It is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to navigate them with a calm, clear mind. The Buddha's teachings provide us with a path to find this inner peace. It begins with understanding that our suffering is often rooted in our attachments, the things we hold onto, the desires we chase, and the expectations we set for life. We may want everything to stay the same, to avoid discomfort, or to possess things that bring us temporary pleasure. But life is constantly changing, and when we cling to these things, we are setting ourselves up for suffering. In Buddhism, the concept of impermanence is key. Everything changes, everything. Our emotions, our thoughts, the seasons, our relationships, even our bodies, they are all in a constant state of flux. When we try to resist change, we resist life itself, and that resistance creates suffering. The key to ending suffering is not to control the uncontrollable, but to let go, to accept the flow of life, and to understand that we do not need to hold on to anything forever in order to be happy. Letting go doesn't mean that we stop caring or that we abandon the things we love. It means we stop gripping so tightly, allowing ourselves the freedom to experience life without the constant pressure of needing it to be a certain way. When we stop expecting life to fulfill all our desires, we free ourselves from the cycle of disappointment and frustration. The end of suffering is about learning to live with the flow, embracing the changes that come with life, and finding peace in the process. One way to end suffering is through mindfulness, a practice that helps us become fully present in the moment. When we are mindful, we are no longer lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. We learn to appreciate each moment for what it is. Whether it's a quiet moment in nature, a conversation with a loved one, or even a difficult situation, mindfulness allows us to experience life with clarity and understanding. This doesn't mean that life will suddenly become free of challenges, but it does mean that we can approach those challenges with a sense of peace and acceptance. Another important aspect of ending suffering is compassion. Compassion isn't just for others, it's for ourselves as well. We are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards. We think we should always be strong, always be happy, always be in control. But this is not realistic. We are human, and we are allowed to feel vulnerable, to feel pain, to experience sadness. Compassion is about acknowledging our own struggles without judgment and treating ourselves with kindness in those moments. It is about recognizing that we are not alone in our suffering and that everyone faces challenges in their lives. When we practice compassion, we release ourselves from the pressure to be perfect and accept ourselves as we are. So, how do we begin to walk this path toward the end of suffering? The first step is to recognize that our suffering is not a punishment. It's not a sign that something is wrong with us. Suffering is simply part of the human experience, and it is through facing our suffering that we can learn and grow. The Buddha's path offers us tools to navigate this experience with grace and wisdom. The second step is to cultivate awareness of our attachments, the things we hold on to, and to begin to loosen our grip. This doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, we can begin to free ourselves from the need to control everything in our lives. The third step is to develop mindfulness, to live in the present moment, and to stop worrying about what might happen in the future or regretting what has already happened. Mindfulness allows us to step outside of the constant cycle of thought and emotion and see life clearly. It opens us up to the possibility of peace, even in the midst of challenges. Finally, we must practice compassion for ourselves and for others. By understanding that everyone suffers, we can begin to let go of judgment and cultivate kindness. Compassion gives us the strength to face life's difficulties without becoming overwhelmed by them. It allows us to stay grounded and present, no matter what comes our way. The end of suffering is not about escaping from life's challenges. It's about transforming the way we relate to those challenges. It's about accepting that life will never be perfect, and yet still choosing to find peace in the imperfection. It's about realizing that happiness doesn't depend on what we have or what we achieve, but on how we respond to the world around us. The peace we seek is not outside of us. It's within, waiting for us to discover it. As we move forward on this path, remember that the end of suffering is not a final destination. It's a process. It's something we can begin to experience right now, in the present moment. With each step we take, we move closer to a life filled with peace, acceptance, and inner joy. This is the possibility that Buddhism offers us, and it is available to anyone who is willing to walk the path. The way forward, the Eightfold Path simplified for daily practice. We have arrived at a crucial moment in our journey, a moment where the path forward becomes clear. The Eightfold Path, as taught by the Buddha, offers a simple yet profound guide to leading a happier, more peaceful life. But to many, it might seem like an overwhelming list of ideals, abstract concepts, or even just a distant dream. Let me tell you that the Eightfold Path is not something far off, something for only monks or extraordinary beings. It is for you and me, right here, right now. And the beauty of it lies in how practical and real it is for everyday life. In the daily grind, the Buddha's teachings might seem distant, yet they are meant to be lived in the here and now. The Eightfold Path is not about achieving perfection, but about constantly improving, gradually shifting our habits, and cultivating peace in our thoughts, words, and actions. Each step is a practice that slowly molds us into a person who can truly find happiness, no matter the circumstances. Let's break it down. First, we begin with right view. What does it mean to have the right view? It's about seeing the world as it truly is, understanding that life is filled with both joy and suffering, and realizing that nothing lasts forever. This view gives us a sense of clarity, allowing us to face challenges with a calm mind. Imagine going through a tough day at work, but instead of reacting with frustration, you remember that your emotions and circumstances are temporary. Understanding this is a powerful form of freedom. It shifts the way we see our challenges and encourages us to accept life as it is, without resisting it. Then comes right intention. It's not enough to simply see things clearly. We must also intend to act from a place of kindness and compassion. Right intention means that we live our lives with a sense of purpose, rooted in a commitment to the well-being of others. It's a way of shaping our inner world so that our actions are aligned with goodness. If you think about it, most of our troubles come from intentions rooted in selfish desires, misunderstandings, or harmful impulses. But when we practice right intention, we consciously choose thoughts and actions that benefit not only ourselves, but those around us. Imagine making a simple decision each day to be more compassionate to a colleague or family member. It's the kind of shift that slowly changes the tone of your entire life. The next step is right speech. This one is so simple, yet so powerful. It's about speaking truthfully, kindly, and thoughtfully. How often do we find ourselves speaking without thinking, or gossiping, or saying things that hurt others? Right speech is about learning to use our words as tools for healing, not harming. It's about being mindful of the way we communicate with others. Every time we speak with kindness and honesty, we create a ripple of peace in the world around us. Consider this. How many times have you felt a deep connection with someone after a simple conversation where you both listened and spoke openly with respect? This is the power of right speech. Next comes right action. This involves living in a way that reflects our highest values. It's about doing what is morally right, living in harmony with the world around us, and avoiding actions that harm others. Right action is not about perfection. It's about making conscious choices to live with integrity. Whether it's helping someone in need, treating others with respect, or being honest in our work, right action brings peace to our hearts and strengthens our connection to the world. Think of a moment when you helped someone, even in a small way. It's those acts of kindness, no matter how simple, that make our lives meaningful. Right livelihood is another essential step. It's not just about how we make a living, but also about aligning our work with values that bring good to the world. This doesn't mean we all need to quit our jobs or change careers overnight. It's about finding ways to make our work meaningful. It might be as simple as helping others through our work or creating something that benefits the community. Every action we take, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture of the world. If you're doing something that brings value to others, you're already practicing right livelihood. Right effort is about cultivating a mind that is clear, focused, and positive. It's about putting in the effort to overcome the distractions and negative habits that cloud our judgment. This step is about persistence and dedication. It's the ability to keep going even when things get difficult. The Buddha didn't promise that the path to happiness would be easy, but he did promise that with right effort, we can overcome the obstacles in our minds and hearts. Imagine trying to stay calm in a stressful situation. It's not always easy, but when we put in the effort to stay focused and grounded, we build resilience. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you are cultivating the right effort. Right mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. It's about being aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. In our busy world, we often rush from one thing to the next, distracted and disconnected. But mindfulness invites us to slow down and fully experience each moment, no matter how small. Think about taking a moment to truly enjoy a cup of tea, noticing the warmth, the taste, and the peace it brings. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see life as it is, free from the cloud of distractions. This is where true happiness begins, to live fully in each moment, appreciating its simple beauty. Finally, we have right concentration. This is about developing the ability to focus deeply, to clear the mind of unnecessary distractions, and to meditate on what truly matters. Concentration is the foundation of all the other aspects of the Eightfold Path. Without concentration, it becomes difficult to maintain the right view, to speak kindly, or to act with integrity. Through meditation, we can train our minds to stay focused and calm, no matter what is happening around us. Think of a time when you were fully immersed in something you loved, whether it was reading, gardening, or even a conversation. In that moment, you were practicing concentration and it brought you peace. By developing this skill, we can create more space for happiness in our lives. The Eightfold Path isn't something you learn once and forget. It's a practice that deepens over time. Just like learning an instrument, the more we practice, the better we get at it. It's not about being perfect. It's about continuously growing, evolving, and becoming more aware of our thoughts, words, and actions. By living the Eightfold Path, we slowly align ourselves with a life of inner peace, happiness, and purpose. So, take a moment today to reflect on these teachings. Where can you begin? Where do you need to put in a little more effort? The path ahead is yours to walk, step by step, with patience and compassion. And with each step, you move closer to the happiness you've been seeking. Mindfulness and aging, staying mentally clear and spiritually young. As we grow older, many of us start to feel the weight of time on our bodies and minds. We look at the mirror and see signs of aging, and suddenly, life can seem overwhelming. It's easy to start feeling like we've missed opportunities or like our best years are behind us. But what if I told you that aging doesn't have to mean fading? What if, instead, it could be a chance for us to awaken to something deeper, more meaningful, and more peaceful? What if we could embrace aging with a sense of clarity, purpose, and inner calm? Buddhism teaches us something very powerful, that true happiness doesn't come from avoiding age or trying to hold on to youth, but from learning to embrace each moment with mindfulness and awareness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, right here, right now. It's about paying attention to your thoughts, your emotions, and your surroundings without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we stop living on autopilot. Instead, we begin to experience life more deeply, appreciating even the small moments. As we age, we may notice that our bodies aren't as strong as they once were. Our energy may feel different, and we may need more rest than we used to. But in that very process, there's an opportunity to become more mindful of our bodies, of how we treat ourselves and how we treat others. Aging doesn't have to be a process of decline. It can be a time of growth, a time of inner awakening. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful teaching about impermanence. It reminds us that everything in life is constantly changing, and that includes us. We are not meant to stay the same, and that is perfectly okay. When you become mindful of this truth, you begin to see the beauty in the changing seasons of your life. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every moment of wear and tear on your body is a sign that you've lived. They are not signs of loss, but of experience, wisdom, and growth. The wisdom that comes with aging can only be reached through mindfulness. When you live mindfully, you begin to truly understand what matters. You stop chasing the fleeting things and start to value the things that last. The love you share, the peace you find within yourself, the simple joys that come with each new day. In fact, mindfulness has been shown to help us age more gracefully, both physically and mentally. Studies have found that mindfulness can reduce stress, improve memory, and even boost the immune system. When we are mindful, we are not letting our worries or regrets about the past or the future control us. Instead, we are focused on the present moment, where we have the power to find peace and clarity. Mindfulness helps us let go of the unnecessary clutter in our minds and hearts, so we can live more simply, more fully, and more joyfully. Many people find that, as they age, their minds become clouded by worry. They begin to dwell on past mistakes or anxieties about the future. But the more we practice mindfulness, the more we start to realize that those worries are just illusions. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. The only moment we truly have is the present. And in this moment, there is always room for peace, for love, and for clarity. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever noticed how much you tend to judge yourself and others? It's something many of us do without even realizing it. When we age, we may become more critical of ourselves, thinking we've wasted time or haven't done enough. But mindfulness teaches us to let go of these judgments. Instead of being hard on ourselves for the past or fearful about the future, we can simply accept ourselves as we are, right now in this very moment. This kind of acceptance is liberating. It frees us from the burden of regret and fear. Being mindful also means taking care of our minds in a way that keeps them young and clear. As we age, our mental faculties may not be as sharp as they once were. But mindfulness can help slow down mental decline and improve cognitive function. When we focus on the present moment, we exercise our minds and keep them sharp. It's like a mental workout, keeping us strong and engaged with life. And when we are mentally engaged, life becomes exciting and meaningful, no matter how old we are. As we grow older, we also begin to understand that happiness doesn't come from external achievements or possessions, but from our inner state of mind. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we realize that happiness is not something we have to chase. It's something we can find within ourselves at any age. We don't need to look for happiness in the world around us. Instead, we learn to cultivate it within. We learn to create a peaceful, happy mind through simple practices like breathing, paying attention, and being present. There's also a deep wisdom in accepting the natural flow of life. Instead of fighting against aging, mindfulness allows us to flow with it. Just as the seasons change and the flowers bloom and fade, so too do we go through different phases of life. Mindfulness teaches us to accept this process with grace. We no longer fear the passage of time because we understand that each moment is precious in its own right. So, how can we practice mindfulness as we age? It starts with simple steps. Take a moment each day to sit quietly, focusing on your breath. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the emotions you are feeling. Allow yourself to simply be present with what is happening without trying to change anything. As you do this, you will start to develop a deeper sense of peace and clarity. You will begin to notice the beauty in the small, everyday moments, the sound of birds singing, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the laughter of a loved one. These moments become treasures when you are mindful of them. Another important aspect of mindfulness is gratitude. As we age, it's easy to focus on what we have lost, our health, our energy, our youth. But mindfulness teaches us to focus on what we have gained, the wisdom, the experience, the love we've shared. It helps us shift our focus from what we don't have to what we do have, creating a sense of abundance and joy in our hearts. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you will find that your outlook on aging begins to shift. You will no longer see it as something to fear or resist, but as a natural and beautiful part of life. Every stage of life has its own gifts to offer. The key is to embrace each one with mindfulness, to live in the moment, and to find happiness in the present. No matter your age, you are capable of staying mentally clear, emotionally balanced, and spiritually young, all through the simple, powerful practice of mindfulness. So, my dear friend, I invite you to begin this journey today. Embrace mindfulness as a tool for aging gracefully. With each passing day, may you find deeper peace, greater clarity, and a profound sense of joy. And may you realize, as you continue to grow older, that the best years of your life are not behind you, but right in front of you, waiting to be lived fully with mindfulness and with love. Compassion over comparison, a Buddhist response to social pressures. In today's world, it seems like everyone is comparing themselves to others. Whether it's your neighbor's new car, your colleague's promotion, or the lives portrayed on social media, there's always something that makes us feel like we're falling short. It's as if happiness is something that comes only when we have what others have, when we achieve what others achieve. But the truth is, this constant comparison only brings frustration, stress, and dissatisfaction. So, how can we step out of this trap and find real peace and happiness? Buddhism offers us a powerful lesson: compassion over comparison. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that true happiness does not come from what we have or what others think of us. It comes from understanding ourselves and others with kindness and compassion. Imagine if, Instead of looking at someone else's success and feeling jealous, you could look at them with compassion. Instead of comparing their life to yours, you could recognize that their happiness and achievements don't take anything away from you. In fact, their success can be a source of inspiration rather than insecurity. Buddhism teaches us that we are all connected. The joy of others should not make us feel less, but rather remind us that we, too, can create our own happiness. This doesn't mean that we should stop striving for our goals or that we shouldn't work hard to improve ourselves. It simply means that our sense of worth should not be tied to what others are doing. Your journey is unique, and comparing it to someone else's will only cloud the beauty of your own path. But it's difficult, isn't it? It's hard to let go of the constant pressure to measure up to others. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to do more, to be more, to have more. And when we don't reach those expectations, we start to feel like we're failing. But Buddhism asks us to pause and reflect. What are we truly striving for? Is it the approval of others, or is it peace within ourselves? When we let go of the need to compare, we can begin to live more authentically with a deeper sense of contentment that doesn't rely on external validation. Let's consider an example. Think about a time when you felt truly happy. Maybe it was a quiet moment with a loved one, or the joy of completing something meaningful. Did that happiness come from comparing yourself to someone else? Or did it come from within, from the satisfaction of being present in the moment, of simply existing in a state of gratitude? This is the kind of happiness that Buddhism teaches us to cultivate. Happiness that is independent of external factors and rooted in compassion for ourselves and others. In Buddhist practice, compassion is not just a feeling, it's a way of life. It's about understanding the struggles and challenges of others without judgment and offering kindness to both them and ourselves. Instead of seeing others as competition, we can see them as fellow travelers on the same journey. When we let go of comparison and embrace compassion, we create an inner peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. We stop measuring our worth by other standards and begin to measure it by the love and kindness we show ourselves and others. Think about how different life would be if we all practiced this. Imagine walking through your day without the weight of comparison on your shoulders. Instead of envying the success of others, you would feel inspired by it. Instead of judging yourself for not measuring up, you would celebrate your own unique journey, knowing that you are enough just as you are. This shift in perspective can transform your life, bringing you closer to the happiness you seek. Now, it's important to note that compassion is not just about being kind to others. It's also about being kind to yourself. We are often our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and constantly comparing our progress to that of others. But the Buddha teaches us that true compassion starts with ourselves. If we can't be kind to ourselves, we'll struggle to show kindness to others. So, how can you start being more compassionate toward yourself? It might be as simple as speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake, or giving yourself permission to take a break when you're feeling overwhelmed. By practicing self-compassion, you'll find that it becomes easier to extend that same kindness to others. When we let go of the need to compete and start embracing the idea of compassion, we begin to experience a deeper sense of freedom. We no longer feel trapped by the opinions of others or the societal pressures to keep up. Instead, we find peace in our own hearts, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. The happiness we seek is not outside of us, it's within. And when we practice compassion, we open the door to that inner happiness, a happiness that is unshaken by comparison or judgment. So, how can we start living with compassion and free ourselves from the cycle of comparison? First, we must become aware of the thoughts that lead to comparison. Pay attention to those moments when you catch yourself measuring your worth against someone else's. When that happens, gently remind yourself that your path is your own. No one else's journey is the same as yours, and that's something to celebrate. Next, practice mindfulness and meditation to cultivate a sense of inner peace. When we are present in the moment, we realize that we don't need anything or anyone to make us happy. We are enough as we are. And finally, make an effort to be kind, not just to others, but to yourself. Treat yourself with the same love and compassion that you would offer to a close friend. Recognize that you are worthy of happiness, just as much as anyone else. And remember, the more we practice compassion, the easier it becomes to let go of comparison and embrace the unique beauty of our own lives. The more you let go of comparison, the more you will find yourself at peace. The more you practice compassion, the more your happiness will grow, not because of anything external, but because you've learned to cultivate it from within. This is the true path to happiness, the path of compassion over comparison. And it's a path that each of us can walk, starting today. Letting go gracefully, detachment without indifference. Sit with me for a while. No rush. Just be still. Breathe in and out. Now listen closely. Letting go is not about losing. It is not about giving up. It is not about becoming cold, distant, or indifferent. True letting go, the kind we speak of in Buddhism, is about opening your hands, your heart, your mind, and allowing life to move freely. To come, to stay, to go. Just like the wind, just like the seasons. People misunderstand attachment. They think it means not caring. But that is not the way. A detached heart can love deeply. A detached person can still feel joy, still cry, still care. But they do not cling. They do not grasp. They do not say, "This must stay with me forever, or I will break." Imagine holding a flower. It is beautiful. You admire it. You smile. But then you squeeze it tightly because you want to keep it with you always. What happens? You crush the petals. The beauty fades. You hurt the very thing you loved. This is how we often live. We cling to people. We cling to moments. We hold on to youth, to possessions, to memories, to opinions. And when life tries to move, when time asks us to let go, we resist. And in that resistance, we suffer. Letting go gracefully means understanding that all things are passing. Everything is temporary. Everyone is changing. Even this breath you're taking in right now will leave you in a moment. But that doesn't make the breath less valuable. In fact, it makes it more precious. When you truly understand that nothing lasts forever, you begin to live more fully. You begin to love without fear. You begin to appreciate without needing to possess. There's an old saying in Zen, let go or be dragged. If you hold on to what wants to leave, you will be dragged by your own desire. But if you let it go, you remain standing calm, still, centered. I once met a man who lost everything. His home, his family, his savings. He came to me, broken, asking how to stop the pain. I said to him, "You are not broken because you lost everything. You are broken because you are holding on to what is already gone." He looked at me in silence for a long time. And then, tears in his eyes, he said, "I understand. We do not teach letting go because we want you to have less. We teach it because we want you to be free. Free from the chains of attachment. Free from the fear of loss. Free from the burden of needing everything to stay the same." But how do you let go? It begins with awareness. Notice when your heart tightens. When your thoughts repeat the same story again and again. When you say, "I can't live without this." Ask yourself gently, is this true? Or is this a story I am clinging to? You will find, over time, that most of your suffering does not come from what happened, but from your refusal to let it go. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice. You let go of yesterday so you can greet today. You let go of your pride so you can listen. You let go of the argument so you can keep the peace. You let go of who you were so you can grow into who you are becoming. And sometimes, letting go means allowing others to walk their path, even when you do not agree with it. You love them, yes, but you no longer try to control them. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. There is deep strength in surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of trust. Trusting life. Trusting time. Trusting that even in loss, there is something being given. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means forgiving. It means softening. It means saying, "I choose peace over pain. I choose flow over control." There is peace waiting for you, but it lives on the other side of your attachments. You do not need to let go of everything all at once. Start small. Release a worry. Release an old habit. Release the need to always be right. Each release will feel like a breath of fresh air. You'll begin to feel lighter, freer, happier. Letting go gracefully is the art of living wisely. It is the heart of Buddhist practice. You are not throwing life away. You are simply opening yourself to all of it. Without fear, without force, with presence, with compassion. You will still love. You will still care. But you will not suffer needlessly. So, sit with this thought today. What do I let go of right now that is weighing me down? Perhaps it is a regret. Perhaps it is a resentment. Perhaps it is an image of who you think you should be. Release it, breathe it out, and trust that in the empty space it leaves behind, something beautiful will bloom. Now, let the silence say the rest. Living with intention. Cultivating purpose beyond material success. We all search for meaning in our lives. We yearn to feel like we are contributing to something larger than ourselves, something that gives our lives a sense of purpose. But sometimes it feels like we're caught in the whirlwind of day-to-day existence, work, responsibilities, relationships, and we forget why we're doing any of it. Our actions become automatic, our goals material, and in the process, we lose sight of what truly matters. This is a natural part of life, but it's also a place where the wisdom of Buddhism can bring us back to a deeper understanding. At the heart of Buddhism is the idea of living with intention. It's about being present in everything we do, not just going through the motions. It's about waking up each day with a clear understanding of what we truly want to achieve, not in terms of external success, but in terms of internal peace and fulfillment. It's easy to get distracted by what society tells us we should want: money, status, power, success. But when we chase after these things without considering the deeper purpose behind them, we can easily feel empty and lost. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you did something simply because it brought you joy? Something that didn't require validation from others. Something that made you feel connected to yourself? Often, our lives are so filled with striving, with trying to be successful according to the world's standards, that we forget to ask ourselves, why am I doing this? What is my true purpose? In Buddhism, the concept of intention is central. In every action, whether big or small, there's the possibility of mindful intention. This isn't just about setting grand goals for the future. It's about understanding your deeper motivations and aligning your actions with your values. It's about being conscious of the way you engage with the world, the people around you, and even your own thoughts. Living with intention requires a certain level of awareness. It means paying attention to the choices you make in every moment, recognizing when you're acting out of habit, and asking yourself, is this in line with my true values? It's easy to get swept up in the demands of life and forget that we have the power to choose how we respond to situations. But when we live intentionally, we regain that power. We start to make decisions based not on what others expect from us or what we think we should do, but on what feels true to our own hearts. One of the most profound aspects of living with intention is understanding that our actions, no matter how small, create ripples in the world. Every word we speak, every gesture we make, every choice we take affects those around us. And the more we live with intention, the more we shape our reality in ways that reflect our deepest values. This is why the Buddha's teachings emphasize compassion, kindness, and mindfulness. They are not just practices for our own well-being, but tools for creating a better world for others too. When we live with purpose, we begin to understand that true happiness isn't found in acquiring things or reaching certain milestones. Instead, it's found in how we relate to the world and how we live our lives. It's found in the depth of our relationships, in the way we show up for others, and in the peace we cultivate within ourselves. Living with intention allows us to focus on what really matters, rather than getting caught up in the distractions that often pull us away from what's truly fulfilling. The beauty of Buddhist practice is that it teaches us that we don't need to go anywhere or become anything else to find purpose. All we need to do is return to ourselves, to the present moment, and to the understanding that happiness and purpose are not outside of us. They are within us. Every breath we take, every step we make is an opportunity to live with intention, to choose how we respond to the world, and to shape the life we truly want to live. But living with intention isn't always easy. It requires discipline and a willingness to be honest with ourselves. It requires taking a step back and examining our desires and motivations. Are we pursuing success because we truly want it, or because we think it will make us happy? Are we investing in relationships because we genuinely care, or because we feel obligated? These are tough questions, but they are necessary if we want to live authentically. The more we practice mindfulness and awareness, the more we start to see the difference between living with intention and living by default. When we live by default, we react to life as it comes, often without considering the consequences of our actions. But when we live with intention, we respond to life with a clear sense of purpose, knowing that each moment is a chance to align ourselves with our deepest values. In Buddhism, this process of living with intention is closely tied to the concept of the Eightfold Path. This path guides us toward right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. It's a map for living a life that is in alignment with our higher purpose, not just one driven by external success or fleeting pleasures. By following the Eightfold Path, we can cultivate a life of balance, peace, and fulfillment, free from the endless chase for things that don't bring lasting joy. So how do we begin? The first step is simply to become more aware of our thoughts, words, and actions. Are they aligned with our values? Are they moving us closer to the life we want to live, or are they pulling us further away? It's a process of continuous reflection, of making small adjustments each day to ensure that our actions are intentional and meaningful. Living with intention also means embracing the present moment. So often, we're caught up in planning for the future or regretting the past. But the truth is, the only moment we truly have is the one we are in right now. When we bring intention into each moment, we bring our full presence to whatever we are doing. Whether we're working, spending time with family, or simply sitting in silence, we can choose to be fully engaged, to do each thing with purpose and mindfulness. Living intentionally also means letting go of attachments to outcomes. It's easy to think that we need to achieve certain things in order to feel fulfilled, but true fulfillment comes from within. When we detach from a need for specific results, we open ourselves to the flow of life, allowing ourselves to be at peace with whatever unfolds. This doesn't mean we stop setting goals or striving for improvement. It simply means that our happiness isn't dependent on achieving them. Ultimately, living with intention is about creating a life that is meaningful to you. It's about understanding that success isn't measured by what you accumulate or how others see you. It's measured by how deeply you connect with your own heart and the world around you. When you live with intention, you no longer feel like you're simply reacting to life. You become the creator of your own reality. So, take a moment to reflect. What is your intention for this day, this moment, this life? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to lead? Remember, it's never too late to start living with intention. Every step, every choice is a chance to realign with your true purpose. And as you do, you'll find that the happiness and peace you seek are already within you, waiting to be discovered. The circle complete, a joyful life rooted in Buddhist wisdom. As we come to the end of our journey together, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on everything we've discussed. Think about the path we've walked, step by step, starting with understanding the very nature of suffering and how we can transform that suffering into joy. Along the way, we've uncovered the teachings of Buddhism, simple yet profound truths that have the power to change our lives for the better. And now, here we are at the final chapter where everything comes full circle. It's easy to think that happiness is something that we can only find in fleeting moments, when things go right, when we get what we want, when the world around us feels peaceful. But true happiness, the kind that Buddhism speaks of, is something deeper. It's not dependent on the outside world. It doesn't come and go based on circumstances. It's a state of being that is rooted in our own understanding and acceptance of life as it is. You see, life will always have its ups and downs. There will always be challenges, losses, and moments of pain. But there will also be moments of joy, peace, and love. The key is not to chase after one and try to avoid the other. The key is to accept them both, fully, without resistance. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Buddhism teaches us that happiness is not something we need to search for outside ourselves. It's something we create from within. It's about being present, being mindful, and embracing the impermanence of life. Everything around us, including our own emotions, will come and go. The trick is not to become attached to them, not to let them define us. We are more than our feelings, more than our thoughts, more than our circumstances. We are the awareness behind it all. Now, let's talk about impermanence for a moment. Everything in life is changing. This is a truth that we often resist. We want things to stay the same because it feels safer that way. But the reality is that nothing stays the same. People grow older, seasons change, and even our thoughts and emotions are in constant flux. And that's okay. In fact, it's beautiful. Because if everything were static, nothing would have meaning. It's the very fact that everything changes that allows us to experience growth, learning, and, yes, happiness. By embracing impermanence, we learn to let go. We stop holding on to things, be it material possessions, relationships, or even past hurts that no longer serve us. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging to what we cannot control, and we make space for the new, the fresh, and the present. This is the freedom that comes from understanding the nature of life itself. The Eightfold Path, which we've discussed throughout this series, isn't just a set of rules to follow. It's a way of being. It's a way of living in harmony with the world and ourselves. It teaches us to act with kindness, to speak with truth, to think with clarity, and to walk through life with awareness. It's a simple path, but one that leads to deep transformation. By following it, we become more grounded, more peaceful, and more connected to the world around us. But it's not always easy, is it? Life throws curveballs at us. People disappoint us. Our bodies age, and our minds sometimes feel overwhelmed. But even in these moments, we have a choice. We can choose to respond with mindfulness, with compassion, and with acceptance. We can choose to find joy even in the midst of difficulty. This is the power of Buddhist wisdom. It's not about avoiding the tough stuff, but learning to walk through it with grace. You might wonder, can this really work for me? Can I really live this way, even with all the responsibilities and challenges I face? The answer is yes, but it requires commitment. It requires patience. And most importantly, it requires a willingness to practice again and again. Happiness doesn't come as a quick fix. It comes through consistent effort, through mindfulness, through learning how to be present in every moment. And it doesn't stop with us. As we cultivate our own happiness, we also become a light for others. Buddhist wisdom teaches that we are all interconnected. Our actions, our thoughts, our energy, these things ripple out and affect the world around us. When we practice kindness, when we practice patience, when we live with love and compassion, we influence others in ways we might not even realize. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripple effects go farther than we can see. So, as we wrap up this series, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your journey doesn't end here. It's only just beginning. The wisdom of Buddhism isn't something to learn and forget. It's something to live, to practice, and to share with the world. Every day is an opportunity to return to the present moment, to practice mindfulness, and to let go of what no longer serves you. Every day is an opportunity to choose happiness, to choose peace, and to choose love. Remember, happiness isn't a destination. It's a way of being. It's a choice you make every day, in every moment. The teachings we've shared in this video are not just ideas. They're tools you can use to create a life that is filled with joy, peace, and deep contentment. So, as you walk forward from here, take these teachings with you. Live them, breathe them, and let them guide you. And know that no matter what happens in life, you have the ability to stay rooted in happiness. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, being compassionate, and being true to yourself. Thank you for being part of this journey. It's been an honor to share this wisdom with you. If you found value in this video, I invite you to share it with others so that the ripple effects of this wisdom can reach far and wide. And remember, no matter where you are in life, happiness is always within your reach, just waiting for you to embrace it. There's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If you want to continue receiving valuable insights, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your thoughts and feedback mean a lot to us, so drop them in the comments below. May your life be filled with peace, joy, and lasting happiness.